Hi everyone! I have had a lot of questions on what the differences and the similarities are between both the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette and the Huda Beauty Textured Rose Gold palette. This is going to be more of a talk-through video with my awkward voice so that I can provide the most information possible. I didn't do any finger swatches because I think so many people have already done finger swatches. This is more about the performance of the shadows using a brush on the eye, because I think finger swatches can sometimes give off the wrong impression about the performance of the shadow on the eye. To show the best comparison, I thought I will create the same eyeshadow look on both eyes using similar shades from each palette. This will give you guys an idea on how they perform and which shades are similar within both palettes. So, should we get started? On this eye I'll be using the Huda Beauty shades. The first shade I'm picking up is called Shy, and I took up my Zoeva 228 brush and I'm blending this into the crease. I get a lot of questions because I think people get confused on where they should be placing their eyeshadow in the crease. Because everybody's eye shape is different, what I recommend is that you actually feel for your eye socket, and that is where you blend in your eyeshadow. If you blend it too low, you'll find that your eyes look smaller, and when your eyes are open, you won't be able to see the shadow that's on the lid space. This also counts for hooded eyes. So for hooded eyes, I recommend that you definitely blend the eyeshadow above where your crease folds, so that when you open your eye, you're able to see the eyeshadow also on the eyelid. And it also gives the appearance of larger eyes. So on this eye I'll be using all Anastasia shades, and the first shade I'm picking up is called Buen Fresco, and I'm placing that into the crease using the same brush that I used previously. Both shadows are very similar in shades. They are both soft matte lilacs. Next, on the Anastasia side, I'm going in with the shade Sandalwood, and I'm placing this just under where I put the shade Shy. Something I notice is when I go to pick up shadow from the Huda palette, I don't get as much fallout, whereas when I pick up the shadows from the Anastasia palette, I get much more fallout, which makes it a lot easier to blend because the shadows are very soft. On the other eye, I'm going in with the shade Burnt Orange by Anastasia, and I do notice a big difference between using these shadows. I feel like the Anastasia shadows are just much more soft, they're easier to pick up, whereas the Huda shadows, it's a bit more difficult to make them stick to the skin. Back to the first eye, I picked up the shade Man Eater from the Huda palette, and I'm applying this onto the lid with a flat synthetic brush. I had so much trouble with this eyeshadow. It was so patchy, chalky, and it just wouldn't stick to the skin. I think it's purely because the matte shades are very dry, and as you can see, like while I'm applying them, I'm sliding them onto the skin to try and make them stick, but I'm still getting a lot of fallout. If you do get any eyeshadow fallout, the best thing to do is pick up a dual fiber brush and literally flick off the fallout immediately so that the oils from your skin don't come through and make the eyeshadow stick to your foundation. Next, I'm going in with a fluffy brush just to blend in the harsh edges, and I had a really hard time with this. I don't have this issue with all the matte shades. I think it's just specifically this matte shade which was giving me a really hard time. So back to the other eye, I'm using the shade Venetian Red by Anastasia, and I'm applying this all over the lid with the same brush that I used on the other side. Please excuse my really sloppy application. I couldn't see the mirror past my camera, so that's why I'm really messy. I do apologise. But I did notice this shadow, it still had some fallout. It wasn't as bad as the Huda shadow, and it was a lot easier to blend. I also didn't have to go in as many times to build up how opaque it is. It just went on a lot better. Back to the Huda side, I've gone in with the shade Cocoa from the palette, and I'm just applying this onto the outer corner, going into the crease, just to deepen that up. I actually had no problems using this shadow on the outer corner. I haven't had more of a chance to use this, but it seemed fine when I used it today. Next, for the Huda side, I actually went back in with a fluffy brush to blend everything together because I had a really hard time blending that red shadow out. On the Anastasia side, I'm taking the shade Cypress Umber from the palette, and I'm applying that the same way that I did on the other side. I do actually notice that this is slightly more pigmented than the Huda ones, which is quite disappointing because she promised a lot of pigment. Back to the Huda side, I bet I'm making you dizzy. I've gone in with the shade Moondust, and I'm applying this onto the inner corner, and on the other side I'm applying Primavera, and both shadows look very similar and performed exactly the same. I really liked the Moondust shade from the Huda palette. Now I'm going to quickly finish off the eyeshadow look by applying the shades Sandalwood and Cocoa on the lower lash lines, and then doing my winged eyeliner and applying eyeliner onto the waterline. Overall, I do prefer the Modern Renaissance palette for the quality, however, I do prefer the Huda Beauty palette for the shades. I love the shimmer shades in the Huda Beauty palette as well, and the textured shadows are to die for. A good dupe for the textured shadows are actually the shadows from Colourpop. They look really beautiful and they work really well. If you want to see how the textured shadows work from the Huda Beauty palette, you can actually check out my previous video. Other than that, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and find me on Instagram. If you have any other requests, do let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye!